Today we're going to be looking at something unusual, something unworldly. Today we're going to be looking at stories from r/paranormal. My name's Ryan, the official host here from Reddit Voice, and I look forward to bringing you guys today's video. Before I do though, I'd just really appreciate it if you could hit that subscribe button and that notification bell to stay up to date on all the latest videos. I volunteered after Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans, and there was something there that still scares me to this day. Okay, here it goes. I have a medical background and a certification I rarely use, though I keep going back and paying to renew it. Anyhow, I volunteered almost immediately, thinking I would help those who have lived through Katrina. That was not the case. There were a few of us who were assigned once the water started to recede to find houses that had dead bodies in them. If you've ever had to do a body recovery when it's been lying around in the heat or the water for days, sometimes weeks at a time, you know how it smells. It does sort of smell like any other dead carcass, but worse. I can't explain it. Maybe somehow sweeter smelling. Anyway, the key to not vomiting when you smell them is Vicks in under and around the bottom of your nose. It doesn't keep all the smell out, but enough until you can at least tolerate the smell without vomiting. We had to go to each house and go inside in wading boots and look for bodies. Many of them washed out to sea, but some were still in houses they had lived in prior to the hurricane. If we found a body, we spray painted a big X on the outside of the house. This other guy and I had been doing it for a while, and we were assigned to each other almost every day. We got along okay, and he didn't vomit as the ones that had been gotten to. We came up to this one old shack. I say shack because it was pretty run down in what had been a very bad neighborhood. Right away, I got chills down my spine. I knew there was something really wrong. Not like find a dead body kind of wrong, but chilling kind of wrong. New Orleans has certain areas that just give off these vibes. And my understanding is there's a lot of voodoo practiced in certain areas. Anyway, against everything my body was screaming at me, we went into the house. The first thing I could smell was a body. The second was something almost earthy and mold. I looked at my partner, I'll call him Jay. He was white as a sheet. I could tell he was getting that same feeling I had been getting. It was obvious from the weird bones hanging from the ceiling. I would bet my money they were cats or something. Something odd had been going down in the house, as well as strange beads and carvings in the bare wood in the walls. We went into what was a kitchen, and there chained to a beam was an old lady, or what was left of her. She had chained herself by her wrists to the beam. Her guts were falling out onto the floor. The creepiest thing was, her face still looked as though she were alive and staring at us with a wicked smile, showing only partial teeth. They were nubs. My skin started crawling as the goosebumps spread over my body and my neck hair stood up. Suddenly, I heard the most unearthly cackling noise I've ever heard in my life, and my fight-or-flight reflex kicked in. Jay and I noped out of there. We quickly painted the X and literally ran to the next house. Now, I don't know if that old lady had practiced voodoo or whatever, but that scared the ever-loving shit out of me, and it still gives me nightmares. The people I feel sorry for are the ones who had taken that crazy lady out of there. Jay and I discussed it the night after we went back to the hotels north of there. He had heard the cackling too, but we both said it had to be the wind or something. I died once. Here is my experience. I suffered a massive stroke, so I apologize for any spelling, grammar, or format errors I make. In 2012, I had suffered a stroke that killed me. As I slipped away, I had felt an overwhelming peace come over me like I had never felt before. Things went black, and then I was ascending above, and I saw the city below. Next to me, I heard a voice from this orb of various colored lights that also had a mist coming off of it. It was a woman's voice, and she was telling me how excited she was to finally be with her family and see her mom and dad again. I started to feel unsure and told her I wasn't supposed to be here. Suddenly, I was standing in an otherworldly place that was gorgeous. All the structures and buildings were made of what looked similar to marble, but had an iridescent color between the marbling. The glass buildings were decorated with colorful stones with gold embezzlements lining in the buildings and glass fences. I walked along the path with my arms crossed and holding to my body. I felt lost, and everyone around me was chattering happily with each other in these otherworldly clothes of satin-like linens. Some people held hands and were close and joyful with each other. This place was absolutely beautiful. I came upon an old man who was sitting near a tree in what seemed to be teaching a class with people surrounding him. Some people sitting and others were standing. He called me over to join him. He was teaching the lessons of what life was supposed to be on Earth, what it was originally supposed to be, and how humans were supposed to be carrying for the other world and the inhabitants on it, but materialism had gotten way among other things. I felt an overwhelming knowledge come over me as he continued to teach this class about the world, the universe, life, and death. Everyone began to surround me, and the old man put his hands on my shoulder and he said, "It's not your time yet, you will know when it is." The people from the class all came in and held me in a circle, and I was suddenly back. I opened my eyes and breathed in. I was alive and back in my earthly body. This is how I came to believe in God, and also reincarnation. I don't claim a religion because my beliefs are now a mix of things. Unfortunately, slowly that knowledge was instilled in me, slowly slipped away over the years, but I feel it in the back of my mind. To me, religion became several fingers pointing to the same being. I don't need a religion to dictate my relationship with God. If you're all wondering, I am 27 now and suffer residual effects that have disabled me, but I keep on going. My body may not work properly, but my brain still does, and I focus on expanding my knowledge in various areas. I just received a handwritten letter that is unexplainable. I honestly don't know how to explain this strange handwritten letter that I received last week. For backstory, my family and I have been staying with my parents for 3 months because I've had some health problems. We didn't tell a lot of people because we were still in the same town and everyone was sheltering in place anyway. Last Monday, my mom told me I had received a letter in the mail and I could tell by her voice she was intrigued. It was strange that I was getting mail at her address as they had only lived there about 2 years and it had never been my permanent home. I head downstairs and she hands me a written letter addressed to me but using my maiden name. I've been married over 10 years and my name is now distinctly different. The return address is in town from Patty C. Name changed obviously. I don't know anyone by that name. To reiterate, my parents didn't own this home when I went by my maiden name, so we're obviously very interested to see the contents of this envelope. I open it and unfold a handwritten note on 9.5 by 11 ruled notebook paper. This letter is very personal, so I won't type it out, but it goes into detail about my health struggles and how this Patty C person cares deeply for me and is praying for me to get better. She wrote like we're best friends. At the bottom, she signed her name with a PS to call her anytime. My mom and I are so incredibly confused and concerned about who this person is, so I decide to call the number. A woman picks up and I ask for Patty C. The woman pauses, sighs, and explains that her mother, Patty C, died 1.5 years ago. I apologize and am about to hang up. More bewildered than ever when this woman, let's call her Kim, asks why I'm calling for her mother on Kim's cell phone. I'm not sure what to say and stumble through an explanation that I received a letter from her mother and it listed this number. Kim is silent for a while and then she says she's only had this cell number for 6 months. Well, after her mother's death. I apologize again and say there must be some mistake and hang up. My mom and I decide to Google the address and it's a small public park in town. I'm so confused. Paranormal occurrence maybe? Extremely strange glitch? Extraordinary coincidence? Who knows? It's going to bother me for the rest of my life. And with that, my friends, we've reached the end of today's video. If you liked it, make sure to leave a like on the video and also subscribe. As always, my name's Ryan, the official host here at Reddit Voice, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video.